Studying this portion of Scripture was like a kick in my own teeth. This text is what it is, and it's going to be like a spin kick up to the side of your head. I mean, that's what it's going to be like.
Every Sunday, Tim attends Canyon Creek, an evangelical church led by Pastor Brandon Beals.
We were sinners that Jesus saved. We were once lost, but now we're found. That's what unites us.
What makes Pastor Beals unique and first drew Tim to this church is that Pastor Beals is a die-hard fight fan and even goes by the nickname, the Fight Pastor.
Anderson Silva's my favorite UFC fighter. Run into Anderson all the time. I have lots of pictures with Uriah. Uriah's at everything. My favorite thing about Uriah is that he's about this tall, but his stinking hands are this big. I mean, you think about all the opportunities that Jesus would have had to quit. He was ridiculed, he was beaten, he was whipped. They took a crown of thorns and they shoved it on his head. And the entire time, I mean, he could have at any moment called down a legion of angels and said, we're done. Okay, you guys lose. But instead, he kept fighting and he never quit. And I think it's the ultimate metaphor for that. He's the ultimate fighter. He fought death, hell, and the grave and won.
As the Fight Pastor, Beals travels around the country and ministers both amateur and professional fighters, praying with them before they step into the cage. He hosts fight nights at church, where attendees watch live UFC bouts on TV. And he encourages fighters to attend services at Canyon Creek. Of late, more and more of them are showing up on Sunday.
Over the last year and a half, the ministry has grown and fighters have kind of reached out to us and said, hey, I don't have a pastor, but I believe in Jesus, and the church that I used to go to doesn't understand my love of fighting, doesn't understand that that's what I want to do for a career, but I need some spiritual guidance.
The first time I went to church, I had a whole idea of what it was going to be like. I figured it was just going to be some old dude in a suit, waving his hand around, holding the Bible, yelling at everyone, telling them if you don't accept Jesus into your heart, you're going to rot in hell in the lake of fire and this and that. Immediately when I met Pastor Brandon, they got, they're wearing Ed Hardy shirts and they got tattoos. I think God's enlightened Brandon.
Here's what you started thinking. I brought friends today.
Pastor Beals believes that embracing MMA allows his church to connect with young men who otherwise may not be interested in the Bible. But Beals says that many in the Christian community have a hard time reconciling the teachings of Jesus and a brutal sport like mixed martial arts.
I get asked that a lot. I thought, Jesus says to turn the other cheek. How can you be a minister that supports a physical sport like mixed martial arts? I view MMA as a sport, first and foremost. And it happens to be a combat sport, but I mean, it's just as violent as football. And so when Jesus said turn the other cheek, I mean, it wasn't ever meant in an athletic arena.
Since I had Jesus in my life and I am a Christian and believe in God, I believe that I've been given these talents from the dude above.
My name's Tim, I'm 28. I've lived most of my life with a heart full of pride and a head full of anger in the fast lane. And I'm just here to just, do a 180 and head back the other way.
5 months ago, Tim was baptized by Pastor Beals at Canyon Creek. He has been attending church and avoiding pills ever since.
The thing that I look at Tim is I think he is a living example of how Jesus can take what the devil meant for evil and do good out of it. I mean, that is the type of guy that if he completely commits his life to Christ, grows in his faith, I mean, talk about a testimony. He's a living example of somebody whose life was a mess and God turned it into a message.
Yeah, if I put my hands together, it says fear God.